Welcome to this bonus episode of Living Wow Out Loud. This initial bonus series is going to be a reading of the book, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Disease. I've chosen to include this as a bonus because it really is the foundation that led to Change Your Story. It then led to the website Rise to Shine, and eventually morphed into Living Wow as we know it today. And so, in order for those of you who may not be readers or have chosen the podcast platform, I want you to also have access to the book. And because I have all the rights to all my material, I'm able to upload it here for you as a bonus episode. So I'm going to break it into chapters to make it more digestible. And you will see, I will label all of these as bonus episodes, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases, and then the chapter. So enjoy. I hope you get something of value out of these bonus episodes. Lesson 2, eat your fruits and veggies. This may seem like a no-brainer. This may seem pretty obvious, but when you're dealing with chronic pain, you really don't value life. You really don't care. I didn't really care if I lived or I died. I do believe in God, and I do believe in eternal life. To give up this life that I believe to be hard, painful, overwhelming, and just quite frankly miserable, to be able to live with my Lord and Savior seemed so much better. I've never been afraid of death, and during that time in my life would have preferred to die rather than live. I was in survival mode. I was on autopilot, and that is where life took me. I wasn't making any conscious choices. Well, I was, but I was making them built on inaccurate beliefs, the limiting beliefs of fear and scarcity. I believed that life was a hard test, and I was ready for the test to be over. I had 3 children when I began this journey and realized at that time that my perspective was selfish. Although I felt like death would be an easy answer to the pain and struggles in life, that choice was fair to them or my husband. I had lost my father to a massive heart attack when I was 16, and I realize now the impact had on my life. I did not want to leave my children without a mother. So understand that this was my mindset and my normal. Chronic pain from rheumatoid arthritis that I had learned to live with because doctors, medications, and therapies had not relieved it. Wife and mother of 3, small business owner and operator. Like you, I did what needed to be done because it had to get done. You've heard the saying that people change for 2 reasons, out of inspiration or desperation. I guess I'm an anomaly because I was too clueless for either. My change was by accident. In hindsight, it was all perfectly orchestrated miracle by God, but at that time, it was just mind-blowing. I attended my regular Toastmasters group meeting and heard a presentation about a product that was fruits and vegetables in capsules. It was fascinating. I remember thinking, wow, how cool is that? But after the meeting, I went back to work and honestly thought nothing more about it. Interestingly, the time for this intervention happened at the same time that I was approaching my 40th birthday and having the realization that I talked about in lesson 1. I was keenly aware that I was spiraling in a very bad direction based on my genetics, and I knew I had a bleak future if I didn't make some changes. I really couldn't bear the thought of exercise because I was in so much pain just functioning. I had my 10 vitamin regimen I took daily, so my diet was okay, or so I thought. I will never forget the day I was sitting at my desk after a long day of patience and charting. My hands didn't hurt. I couldn't remember the last time that my hands didn't hurt. I literally looked at my hands and moved my fingers in awe. What has happened? I suddenly realized that I was experiencing the results of the antioxidants reversing the free radical damage and oxidative stress in my body. It had been about 6 weeks. I really didn't expect to feel much more than the improved energy from increasing my fruits and vegetable intake. After all, I did eat fruits and vegetables. I just didn't eat the variety, quantity, and quality that the Juice Plus capsules gave me. Mind blown. I became a full on nutrition nerd. I had to learn how these fruits and vegetables in capsules had done what no doctor, therapy, or medicine had done in 20 years. I became obsessed learning about cellular health, nutritional healing, alternative healing, and holistic healing. I studied every book I could find, practiced every type of healing I could research, and attended every class, workshop, or conference that would expand my knowledge of rebuilding and supporting our bodies with nutrition. The first thing I learned is that fruits, vegetables, and berries are full of phytonutrients, and plants are the only place you can get them. Why does this matter? Well, because they are antioxidants. Why does this matter? Antioxidants neutralize the free radicals that are damaging cells and creating oxidative stress. You cannot prevent oxidative stress. It is the byproduct of any oxygen consuming system. So visualize a fire for a moment. As the fire burns, it produces smoke. There's no way to have a fire without smoke. The larger the fire, the more smoke. Now, it doesn't take a genius to know that smoke isn't good for you. The smoke is the byproduct of the energy produced by the fire. Heat or power is what you want, but you cannot have either without the smoke. If I want to heat my home with a fireplace, I need a chimney to direct the smoke outside where it can disperse. If the flue is closed and the smoke backs up in my home, it can become deadly when enough of it accumulates. Our bodies are like the fire. Every single minute of every single day that we are breathing oxygen and creating energy with our hearts beating, we are creating smoke or oxidative stress by releasing the energy of life. If we work out, we are building a bigger fire, which, you guessed it, creates more smoke. The only way to eliminate your oxidative stress is to turn off your engine. Die. Since that's not really the goal here, we'll look for a better solution. Phytonutrients. Here's an important kicker. Unlike smoke, we can't see or even feel oxidative stress in our bodies. Well, you can if you know what you're looking for, but most of us just brush it off as aging. I am blessed because I have an autoimmune disease that lets me know when my oxidative stress is accumulating. It shows up as pain in my joints, lesions on my skin, or even deep fatigue. Those are where I know my body stores oxidative stress. Others are not as fortunate. Take my dad, for example. He did not have any awareness of the cardiac disease with arteriosclerosis, that plaque that was building up in his arteries as a result of oxidative stress. Not until he had so much, quote, smoke in the house that it took his life without warning. Unfortunately, my dad's scenario is much more common than mine. Most people are completely unaware of the damage in their body or that they can build a chimney. So now we know why our moms told us to eat our veggies. Now we know why they are good for us. I would argue that they are not the only good for us, but they are essential. They provide a chimney, if you will, to haul out the smoke from our bodies before it has the chance to do any more damage. Is that enough? This is where I became a self-proclaimed antioxidant junkie. Remember, I already mentioned that I had my 10 vitamin supplements that I took pretty faithfully. I also like fruits and veggies, so they were a regular side dish to my dinner meal. I even had salads for lunches fairly regularly. Three more important lessons that became apparent to me when I looked into why Juice Plus had relieved my pain. Number one, the quality. Isolated vitamins and supplements are not the same as eating whole foods. Yes, there may be some benefit from taking an isolated supplement for a short period of time, but research has shown over and over that multivitamins do not work. Why? Because they are isolated and fragments of nutrients that we know help support the body. Many are synthetic, not even plant extracts. Yes, some are antioxidants, but when taken out of the plant-based vehicle, the phytonutrient loses the thousands of components that scientists haven't yet isolated and put into the supplement with that vitamin. Man just can't replace what my husband calls God's pharmacy. Then there is the whole issue of the food industry. I am a gardener and have always had a garden, except for the college years living in apartments and rentals. Maybe I should have been more aware of our food supply than I was. Again, I think I just took it for granted. I didn't really think about the fact that even in rural Idaho, most of our produce comes from Mexico and California. Most of it is commercially grown with herbicides and pesticides because we like our perfectly symmetrical, blemish free produce at the supermarket. As a commercial grower, greater yields equal greater profits. Being treated and engineered to be more resistant to the transit process, packaging and shelf life has taken its toll on the quality of the nutrients in the foods we buy at the grocery store. Produce must be picked before it is ripe so that it can ripen in transit. It just isn't viable to pick it right off the vine, package, transport, and finally put it on the shelf. Anyone who has had ripe berries or apricots or lettuce knows that if it's picked ripe, you are lucky to have a few days in the house before it starts to rot. By the way, that is the sign of a real whole food. It is natural for the food to rot. If your food hasn't rotted any time recently, you are eating frankenfood that has been modified. Number 2, quantity. Again, as I took my 10 vitamin supplements, I chose them based on the support they were supposed to provide for my joint health, my heart health, and my brain health. Those were all systems that were not functioning well or that I was concerned about because of my family history. I was trying to identify the need and treat it because that is what I do as a healthcare provider. Now I realize how silly it was for me to think that I knew better than God what nutrients my body needed to support and optimize my engine. God put all of the phytonutrients in my body needs into whole foods. It isn't any more complicated than that. My body knows what to do with them. I just have to eat them. Part of the problem is that the world we live in has fanned the flames of our fires, and we have so many more toxins to haul out than ever before. Whether it's the external pollutants we ingest, breathe, or absorb through our skin, we see and feel it all around us. Research studies now suggest consuming 10 to 13 servings of whole food produce daily, and don't forget the rainbow. Those foods need to be of different colors because each color has different antioxidant properties that support different systems of the body to maximize efficiency of your machine. That was the secret. That was the reason Juice Plus had effectively hauled out the damage stored in my body that was presenting as pain. It was also the reason I had energy like a teenager. It was the reason I could release the weight that was protecting my cells from further damage. The reason I turned back my aging clock and looked like I was at least 10 years younger than my chronological years. My fountain of youth equals antioxidant junkie. I was flooding my body with 30 different berries, vegetables, and fruits extracted from the whole raw foods, vine ripened with all the nutrients maintained. No pesticides, herbicides, or chemicals of any kind. No bacteria, fungus, or cross contamination of any kind. Juice Plus was cleaner, better quality, and in a greater quantity than I was eating before. And number 3, metabolic programming. The really amazing thing that I was told about and understood logically was metabolic programming. You crave what you eat. I did recognize that if I eat more sugar, I crave more sugar. If I eat more salt, I crave more salt. Did you know that if you eat more plants, you crave more plants? We experienced that phenomenon in our family. After eating Juice Plus for a number of weeks, both my husband and son commented while we were out to dinner at a steakhouse that the broccoli was the best thing on the plate and they wanted more. What? My husband and son, the meat eaters, wanted more broccoli? I was sure they had been abducted by aliens. It fueled my curiosity in and testimony of nutrition. It's true. When you eat more produce, in this case it was Juice Plus, you crave more produce, which was broccoli. After 9 years, our family, menus, cupboards, pantry, and medicine cabinet look very different. It did not happen overnight, but it was an early and powerful lesson that whole foods heal. That what we choose to put in our mouths matters. We now build our menus around the whole plants that are in season locally. We have much smaller portions of meat and dairy only occasionally. Processed food is poison to my system and is one of the most rapid triggers to a flare, so I try diligently to keep it out of my home, and especially out of my mouth. We have not had an antibiotic prescribed for illness for anyone living at home since we changed our eating. This proves to me the power of healing with whole plant foods. Juice Plus broke the negative health cycle I was in and put me into a positive health cycle. I do manage my health and my family's health by doubling up on my Juice Plus if I'm going to be traveling, if I'm around a lot of sick people, or if I'm under particular emotional stress, good or bad. I know it can't hurt me, and I have seen the effects of how it helps me, so I am quick to add a serving or two extra during that time to haul the toxins out and get the extra smoke out before it takes up residence and does damage. We create new cells every single day, just like we create oxidative stress every single day. What do you want to feed those cells, and what environment do you want them to grow in? I want my new cells to be as healthy and vibrant as possible as they replace my old damaged cells. When a patient tells me they are aching because they're getting old, I cringe. When my friends are taking statins, antidepressants, and antacids to deal with the effects of aging and life, I cringe. When patients and friends are taking injections and infusions of super antibiotics and chemotherapy medications to manage their lupus, I cringe. It's not immediate, and some may even say it's hard, but I disagree. I think it's much harder to deal with the financial burden and lack of quality of life of my previous 20 years than the freedom and health of the last 9 years. Rheumatoid arthritis taught me the value of fruits and vegetables. Lupus and lichen planus validated the research that I can heal my body through the choices I make. Juice Plus was the catalyst that restored my quality of life again. It gave me hope that I could build a better future for myself, my family, and my community by inspiring healthy living, not only around the world, but starting under my own roof. Hey, if you find value here on the Living Wow Out Loud podcast, will you please share it with your friends and take a minute to rate it on the platform that you're listening on? That's how we live wow out loud. You know that more people need hope and they need the messages shared. And that's how we get recognized among all the noise. This is where you find your voice. Will you please share and subscribe and rate so that we can grow? After my personal transformation from surviving to thriving with autoimmune diseases, I was completely astounded that the experience was not what I expected it to be. Instead of resenting my body and being forever trapped with a legacy of bad genes, as I had believed would be my fate, I looked and felt 20 years younger. I had dropped weight that had plagued me for decades, eliminated chronic pain that no doctor, therapy, or medicine could relieve, and found energy that I hadn't had since I was 16 years old. Because this is not what I expected, and because I wish someone would have told me that there is another way than sad, I wrote the book, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. As I began to share the book and the message of change your story, Living Wow was born. After years of continuing to learn and study how and why lifestyle has such an impact on disease and the world being torn apart by a global pandemic, I can't stand by any longer keeping it to myself. You have to understand that the power is in your hands. The power is in your body. The power is in your lifestyle. The Living Wow Center is a holistic wellness practice that utilizes the framework of the Living Wow lifestyle to identify system failures or maintenance needs. Whether you just need a tune-up or a complete systems overhaul, we support you as an individual to get back out on the journey and living wow. We will work with you to determine levels of function, needs, tools, resources, and or providers that may be best equipped to guide you as you step out of the negative health cycle and turn it into a positive health cycle. The Living Wow Center offers a revolutionary, comprehensive approach to healing, coaching, and support that is necessary in our complex, sad world. Schedule your complimentary consultation today to see how Living Wow can support you. If you're not sure or you need support, consider joining the Living Wow Challenge on the 1st to the 10th of each month at the Living Wow Center. The Living Wow Challenge is a 10-day experience with a menu full of good mood foods that support natural detoxification and healing of inflammation, which is common in every autoimmune disease. In 10 short days, you will feel the effects of less pain, more energy, and the momentum to embrace living wow in a sad world. You get recipes for each meal, assessments and objective measurements so you can judge where you are, where you want to go, supportive daily affirmations and daily word of scripture guidance, personal support, group coaching, and convenience of online access to fit your schedule. Living Wow is all about thriving, so you can bet the focus is on adding in so much amazing nutrition and content that the sad is crowded out. We don't believe in restrictions and rules, but rather focus on intention and education. As you're empowered with nutritional healing, you will recognize the ills of sad and naturally begin to recognize the choices that are all about wow and living your best life. Please bring your friends, bring your family, bring anyone you care an ounce about. Come and join the Living Wow Challenge to get a taste of wow. It's time for you to remember how good it feels to feel good. Wow, you just finished another episode of Living Wow Out Loud. I hope you leave today empowered to live your best life and thrive. If you're ready to jump in and learn a little bit more about Living Wow, come check out the Living Wow Center. That's LIVINGWOWCENTER.com. And maybe consider joining our next Living Wow Challenge. We run the 1st to the 10th of every single month. See you soon.